So after a crazy final 24 hours, the transfer window in England finally slammed shut last night. There was a day of deals, almost deals, things that so almost could have happened. And you know what I'm talking about there, Alexis Sanchez in particular. Some crazy deals across Europe as well, the likes of Mbappe, and what has been a summer in general as transfers go of absolute madness. We're going to be looking at some of the biggest deals today, as well as taking a look at City in particular, who we brought in and what exactly went wrong with Alexis Sanchez yesterday. So after the absolute roller coaster that was deadline day yesterday, we are now going to be taking a look at some of it in the cold light of day. Of course, this is the next day now. We're waking up in the aftermath of what has happened, what hasn't happened, and like I say, but for me yesterday, and a lot of you City fans out there as well, I'm sure yesterday was just a roller coaster of emotions following the Alexis Sanchez ordeal, and unfortunately, not quite being able to be pulled off in the end, but I still think, I'll put it on Twitter, you can't let that overshadow the fact that I think we have still had a very, very good summer in terms of incomings and outgoings as well. Yesterday in particular, we managed to get rid of a little bit of deadweight in the team as well. But as I also mentioned in the intro, we're going to be taking a look at some of the bigger deals that went on across Europe yesterday and generally in summer, and just having a general recap, a roundup of what has exactly happened in this transfer window. But there's only one place to start really, that is of course in Manchester City, my club, what you're all here to see the most part, and Alexis Sanchez and what exactly happened yesterday. So Alexis Sanchez, the deal to me until yesterday seemed to have simmered down. There was a lot of talk about it earlier on in the transfer window, and then it all seemed to die down. Arsenal weren't going to sell, it was off the cards, they wanted too much money, and the fact of the matter is, you can't forget that there's potential here that someone, hopefully ourselves now, could get Sanchez on a free at the end of the season, or for a cut price in January as well. So that had a big part to play in the deal. Now, at the start of yesterday, there was a lot of talk about the deal, like City came in with an initial bid, like another bid, I think it was of £50 million. That got straight up rejected, to my understanding, by Arsenal. Then we came in a few hours later with another bid, I think it was totalling 60 million, I think it was 55 million flat out, plus £5 million of add-ons. And Arsenal, I think, pretty much had accepted that deal, but they weren't willing to let Sanchez go unless they could get a replacement in. And when this kind of stuff happens, I always think to myself, why oh why have you left this till the last possible moment? It's going to be far too late for anything to happen. Arsenal apparently actually launched an incredible bid of £92 million for Thomas Lemar of Monaco to come in as a replacement, but for whatever reason, whether it was Lemar turned them down, whether it's Arsenal weren't willing to pay that much in the end, I don't know what happened, but they weren't able to get him in. There was another rumour linking them with Julian Draxler. That deal couldn't happen either, and that essentially meant that we couldn't get Sanchez in because Arsenal weren't able to get in a replacement. And it's been a terrible week for Arsenal when you look at it, really. I mean, they had the humiliating defeat at Liverpool where they lost 4-0 and were absolutely trounced. They've lost Oxlade-Chamberlain. The Sanchez just isn't happy, and a lot of the players just don't want to be there right now. Sanchez is definitely in that category, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he and a lot of his teammates perform, because a lot of them don't want to be there, and Sanchez as well, apparently a lot of his teammates wanted him to go as well, because it got to the point now where the dressing room apparently is so unstable because there's just players, like I said, that just don't want to be there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he performs. He's a player that doesn't want to be at the club, wanted to come to City, and it's a real shame that we couldn't bring him in. I mean, I said it at the start, we've still had a fantastic window, but bringing in Alexis Sanchez would have been the icing on the cherry on the cake. We would have had such an incredible front line, but nevertheless, it's not going to happen. Maybe it will happen in January, or maybe it will be a free transfer. He might go somewhere else now. This is the problem. It would have been really nice to just nail him down, get him in as a City player, but unfortunately, for one reason or another, it couldn't happen. The other reason being as well, Arsenal wanted a player and cash deal because, of course, they wanted a replacement. Sterling was spoken of a couple of days ago, but in all honesty, I don't want to lose Sterling. He started off the season really well. He's young, he's English, he's a solid player for us. So even if it means getting in Alexis Sanchez, I don't want to lose a player of Sterling's quality and what he brings to the club as well. So Sanchez not coming, I was absolutely gutted about it. It was rumbling on all summer, but we've still had a great transfer window. And we're going to talk about a couple more of those players now very briefly, because I think I've done videos on most of these separately. But the big changes really came at the back. The first one was the goalkeeper Edison. Obviously, Bravo didn't have a fantastic season for us last year. That's an understatement. Bringing in Edison, who's had a very solid start to life at City, in my opinion. He's made some good saves in the matches he's played. It's still very early, of course, but bought him in for a rumoured fee. I've got the information down in front of me here of £36 million. I believe that's a record for a goalkeeper, but you know what? He's young. He's got a lot of potential. He started off well, and hopefully he can keep on going. He showed already as well just how good he is with his feet, as well as being a great shot stopper so far. Sorry. Other players who bought in, like I said, the main changes have been at the back. We got rid of Zabaleta, we got rid of Clichy, Kolarov, Sandy, so we needed some fullbacks bringing in. We bought in Benjamin Mendy from Monaco for £51 million. He made his debut against Bournemouth and looked very good actually. I've got to say, he struggled at the beginning of the game, but then as soon as he was getting the ball to his feet on that left hand side, I really appreciated his willingness to get the ball into the box. He's an absolute beast as well at left back, got great height. I think he's 6 foot, maybe 5'11", 6 foot, but the guy looks like an absolute tank at left back, and I'm sure he's going to do really well in that position for us this season. Of course, Kyle Walker was one of the other two players that, how can I word this? He was one of two right backs, there we go, that we bought in. We bought in him and Danilo. I think Kyle Walker was the first one. Again, another pretty much £50 million move. I think it was 45 to 50 million the agreed fee was in the end. And he's another player. He's Premier League proven. He's English. Probably the best right back in the league last season. I was very pleased to get him on board, and again, he's had a very solid start. The first game of the season, actually, I think he got man of the match. He had a fantastic game in the match against Brighton. I think I said Brighton. Was Brighton the first game? Who did we play last game? It wasn't Brighton. It was, it's gone. I've completely forgotten who we beat in the last game, but it was an absolute grind of a match, and Benjamin Mendy just about, Bournemouth it was, not Brighton, two South Coast teams, that's why I'm getting those mixed up. So Benjamin Mendy made his debut against Bournemouth and did really well, and Kyle Walker, of course, first game of the season, played against Brighton and got man of the match, was absolutely outstanding. The other right back that we bought in is Danilo, and I think he's a player that's going to have to be very versatile for us this year. He's going to play a lot of right back and left back. We saw in that first game against Brighton, actually, he wasn't particularly comfortable at left back, often wanted to check back on his right hand side, but I still think he's got the potential to do a job there when he's necessary. Hopefully it's not too often, and Mendy can play the majority of the games there, but some very solid signings there, and definitely what we needed. I think when you look at the other players that we bought in, Douglas Luiz is a player that we bought in from the Brazilian League, I believe. Vasco da Gama, I think the team is. And then I think we've loaned him back out to them. A player, again, that we bought in for a very small fee, actually, in the modern transfer market. We only paid £10 million, I think it was. And if he's anything like Jesus, which, I mean, let's not get carried away here. He's another young Brazilian. He could do well. We've loaned him back out to his parent club. Hopefully he can come back next year stronger and do a good job for us. If he's anything like Jesus, then what a signing that'll be, especially for £10 million, because Jesus this season already, again, is showing what an incredible talent he is. But the last signing that we made, I don't think I missed anyone else here, is, of course, Bernardo Silva, a player, another one from Monaco. They've lost so many players this year. It's absolutely unbelievable. And Mbappe, something that we'll talk about later on, someone else that's moved away on deadline day from Monaco. But Bernardo Silva, again, he made his first start in the last game against Bournemouth, and it looked really solid. I think he won the initial free kick to set up the first goal. He won the free kick, which Jesus took very quickly. But I think it's going to be very interesting how we deploy all these attacking options really in the team. Of course, the first game of the season, we played a 3 at the back, and it wasn't totally convincing, but you could see why Guardiola did it. Against Bournemouth, we played more of a 4 at the back, more of a traditional system, and excuse me, Bernardo Silva played sort of on the right hand side but cutting inside a lot, and I think that's his preferred position, to be honest, and I think he looked very good, and I think if he can play regular football in the team, he's definitely a long-term replacement for David Silva. But regardless, even if he doesn't replace David Silva, he's just a very exciting player that I'm pleased to have in the team. And the other signing actually that I did forget about is Olaranju Coyote. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that first name incorrectly, but he's another player that we basically bought in from Austria Vienna and loaned him straight back again. I don't know quite what, did we loan him back to Austria Vienna? I don't know, but we bought him from Vienna, loaned him straight back out somewhere again, and it's another one of these Aaron Moy situations, I think, where you're probably not going to see him much in a City shirt, but I don't fully know what these deals are all about. I think we gave him to Girona, which is the team in Spain that Man City Group has taken over the City Group, so he's a player that's going to go there. I'll be very surprised if you saw any action from him in a Manchester City shirt, to be completely honest, but those transfers round everything up as far as incomings go, and I'm very, very pleased. Defence was definitely the area that needed improving most, particularly in the fullbacks where we needed freshening up. That's exactly what we've done. And we've also brought in some very exciting players as well, the likes of Bernardo Silva. Like I said, if we could have got Sanchez in, that would have been the icing on the cake, but still a very solid transfer window. Now, when it comes to outgoings, there's been quite a few gone out. I'm only going to highlight a few of them, especially the ones that went on deadline day. The first one, actually, I'm going to touch upon is a youngster by the name of Sanchez. Now, he is a player that's a winger, and he's got a ton of potential. Very, very exciting prospect, seen as one of the best young players in the country. However, there's been a big ordeal going on with him, how he wanted to leave. I think it was mainly because he wanted to play first team football. Obviously, he's not going to get the chance immediately to do that at City. So, Dortmund came in and took him off us. I don't know how much the fee was, if anything at all, because he's so young. I don't really know if it's like a Pogba situation for United, where it's not much money at all. So, he's gone to Dortmund, and interestingly, he's picked up the number 7 shirt that was of Ousmane Dembele, someone that's gone to Barcelona, obviously. So Sancho could well feel vindicated, because it seems like he's going to get first team football over there. And like I say, don't be surprised if we see him absolutely tear it up in Germany, because he comes with such a reputation of being a promising youngster. And also, rumours were, I don't know how true this is, maybe you can let me know in the comment section down below, that we have got a buyback clause in that deal. So if he does do really, really well, you could see him coming back to City in the future. If that's the case, that is an exceptional deal. That's an exceptional deal. He's going to get the match experience, and potentially, if he does really well, you could see him coming back as well. So I'm not too disheartened about that. I'm gutted to lose him, but the fact that we potentially have got a buyback clause in place makes that deal a lot better, in my opinion. We did also lose out, I say lose out, we also got rid of, I should really say, Wilfried Bony, who's gone back to Swansea for a fee believed to be around 12 million, a player that came to City having, like, he was on absolute fire for the Welsh club before. I think he was the top scorer on the year in the Premier League, but just didn't really settle. He didn't seem to have the quality for City. He didn't get many chances, but when he did get the chances, he didn't impress at all. So it's not surprising to me to see he can go back out. And to be honest, I'm pleased that he's one of those that we've managed to get rid of, and it's not a loan deal. You know, he's gone now. Bonnie is gone. Done deal, gone back to Swansea. And it wouldn't surprise me if he did alright again there, if he's made the main man, of course. Swansea lost out on Llorente. He's gone to Tottenham, so they needed another striker to bring in. And I think really all parties have got happy there. City are pleased to have got rid of Bonnie, however you say it. Swansea are pleased to get him back and replace Llorente, and then Spurs are pleased because they've got another striker, because they needed another striker, let's face it, in the name of Llorente. In the name of Llorente? What's the word? In the form of Llorente, that's what I'm trying to say there. So that deal was quite a good one, and that set off like the Llorente deal really set off a chain reaction of deals there. So that wasn't a bad one at all. Interestingly, we rejected a bit of Mangala, I believe. Crystal Palace came in for Mangala, offering around £25 million. We obviously have been linked with some other centre-backs around the block, the likes of Johnny Evans, Laporte, I think we were linked with a little bit at the start of the window as well, so Bonucci, another one. So I think really Guardiola's in the end decided to just stick with Mangala as backup, and he's a player that I've often said he's got the potential to be fantastic, but he doesn't have the technical attributes that suit the way we play right now. He's fantastic physically, he's got a lot of strength, a lot of pace, but when it comes to playing out the back, passing, that kind of thing, he's positioning, it's not quite there yet. And I do hope that if we could, you know, improve him in those areas, he could potentially be a very, very solid player for us. And at the end of the day, right now, he's only going to be backup, and I'm quite happy with him as a backup defender. But that really sums up everything that went on deadline day. Of course, we got rid of a few players, like I mentioned earlier on. Before that, the likes of Zabaleta, Sanya, Kolarov, Clichy, all leaving the club. But really, we got most of our deals done very, very early on in the window, which is how I prefer it. I mean, yesterday, like I said, was an absolute roller coaster of emotions, and it was very, very exciting. But you know, if we could have got that deal done earlier on in the window, it would have been fantastic. Ideally, you want to get your deals done as quickly as possible. But like I said, I think we've had a fantastic transfer window. I think really, when you look at the teams in the Premier League that have had the best transfer window, it's us and United. They've also brought in a lot of great players. They weren't really linked with anyone at all on deadline day, because like us, they got the majority, well, they got all of their business done. The only players we were really linked with were Johnny Evans, which is only like a mediocre rumour, and Sanchez as well. But like I say, very, very pleased with our window. I think when you look at other teams that have done well, Everton have brought in a lot of good players. They look fairly solid at the moment. who else has had a very good window, actually, thinking about it? I think Spurs have had a struggle of a window. They bought in Serge Aurier yesterday, which was a good signing. Obviously, they needed to replace Kyle Walker. They also bought in Llorente, who I think is just going to play backup. And they also bought in another, I think it was a defender that I can't remember the name of now. I want to say Forsyth, but I don't think it was Forsyth. I think it's something along those lines. But really, it's been a mental window. Yesterday as well, saw Kylian Mbappe complete his move to from AS Monaco to PSG. I don't know if it's going to be initially a loan and then going to PSG permanently afterwards, just to spread the cost due to financial fair play. But 160 million is being spoke of, and PSG bringing in Neymar as well really have done bits this transfer window. It's incredible to think that they've spent like 450 million on 2 players. Absolutely insane. But other than that, really, deadline day ended up petering out, really. There was a lot of excitement early on. The talk of Sanchez, Oxlade-Chamberlain, of course, completing his move from from Arsenal to Liverpool for around 35 to 40 million pounds. And that's a signing that I think is quite strange. He's a young English player. I think he's pretty average to be completely honest. He's not amazing, but he has got a bit of potential there. He turned down Chelsea, and he wanted to leave Arsenal because, obviously, Arsenal are just all over the shop right now, but Chelsea wanted to bring him in to play that sort of right wing-back position where he'd been playing for Arsenal. And his issue was that he didn't want to play there. He wanted to play a more attacking role, whether that be right wing or preferably, I think from his point of view, was a central position, which is what Liverpool have said they're going to give him. Now, the last time Liverpool told a player that he was going to play centrally was James Milner, and we all know he's ended up at left-back, so whether Ox will actually end up playing central midfield, I don't know. I can't see him breaking into the midfield right now. The likes of Emre Can's been very good. Lallana, there's just Henderson. There's just a lot of players there that I think are better than him in that position. So where we'll see him play, I don't know. Whether we'll see him featuring in the first team, I honestly don't know. It's a very strange signing for me, because like I say, I just can't see him fitting in that Liverpool team at all, unless it is in that right backup position. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe you play at the wing, but then if you look at the wing, they've got Mane, they've got Salah, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in. But that was one of the main stories going on yesterday. One of the final deals ended up being Danny Drinkwater, who finalised his deal from Leicester to Chelsea. I think that's another one, 35 million, which seems way too much for me. I mean, Drinkwater is English, yes, but again, a pretty standard player, isn't he? And he completed his deal late on in the night. Of course, he'll be joining up with N'Golo Kante, a player that he won the Premier League with at Leicester. And I think, interestingly, Chelsea's next game after the international break is actually against Leicester away from home. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a reception he gets there. But other deals that could have happened, Ross Barkley, he was linked away quite consistently with the likes of Spurs and Chelsea. And very late on, supposedly, was having a medical at Chelsea and then decided during the medical that he didn't want to make the move. How true that is, I do not know, but that was another crazy one. There was a few deals that just of seemingly average players that just for whatever reason just didn't happen. Like I said, the Johnny Evans, the Ross Barkley. There's more as well that I can't think of off the top of my head, which made it just a crazy deadline day. But looking outside of England, across the summer, there's been some crazy deals as well. Now I think you look at Mbappe and Neymar to Barcelona, sorry, to PSG, absolutely crazy. They're going to be really looking to challenge now on the Champions League front this season. They've got an incredible squad there. Barcelona, of course, bringing in Ousmane Dembele. Now, looking at Dortmund's point of view now, I can't think off the top of my head if they bought anyone else in major, but if you think they've sold Ousmane Dembele for £135 million, a very talented player to Barcelona. If Sancho ends up being the replacement and doing well for them, what a piece of business that is financially, because to get £135 million in and then get Sancho for next to nothing is absolutely insane. I mean, it could be a great deal. I really do think Sancho will get regular football there and do well, to be honest, so that's going to be really interesting. Coutinho to Barcelona, another deal that's not happened. I mean, I'm recording this on the 1st of September now. Some windows are still open, so the Spanish one's still open, but I don't think Coutinho is going to go. I think there's far too much work to be done now, being as though it's the last day, the last day of transfers, and I'm really shocked that he didn't go, to be honest. Liverpool said very early on they were adamant that they weren't going to sell him, and they stuck to the guns, so fair play. But to me, when they were offered 115, 130 million for him, you've got to bite the Barcelona hand off for that, because Coutinho, for me, although he's a fantastic player, he's worth nowhere near that amount of money. So You know, Barcelona are going to be annoyed that they missed out there, but still bringing in Ousmane Dembele, who I'm sure is going to do very, very well for them. They'll see as a nice signing. So Neymar going out, Dembele coming in was nice. Bayern Munich, another team that have done a ton of business. And talking of good deals, I forgot to mention actually, Renato Sanchez leaving Bayern Munich to go to Swansea for £4 million for a one-year loan deal. Very, very good deal. I mean, he's a player that's going to be amazing on FIFA 18, having that player in the Premier League, but he comes with the good reputation of having a lot of potential. He's a player that's worked under Paul Clement. Is it Paul Clement or Neil Clement? I always get them mixed up. The Swansea manager. He's gone there. He's brought in Sanchez with his reputation, basically, and the fact that he's worked with him before. And I think he's probably going to start play regular football for Swansea. Maybe that's something that's going to push him on to the next level, because you can't begrudge him for not being able to get into the Bayern Munich team. When you look at their midfield, it's absolutely insane, especially when you look at the players they brought in this summer. I mean, they've already got the likes of Thiago, who was fantastic last season, Arturo Vidal, Thomas Muller, who sometimes drops into there, but they brought in Tolisso from Lyon. They brought in, who's the other guy? They brought in a ton of players. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I should have written some of these down, but James Rodriguez is another one that's gone there. They brought in who's the other guy? There's another midfielder that they brought in, a central midfielder, and he'd done quite well for a rival team in the league. Rudy's another player they brought in. So yeah, they brought in a lot of power in that midfield, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to fit it all into that one team. But Bayern Munich again had a solid transfer window, it would seem. But I think that's everything that I wanted to touch upon, really. Like I said, we're just going to be mentioning a couple of the European teams very briefly, mainly touching upon Man City and what's gone on and deadline day. But let me know in that comment section down below, if you've got this far, how you think the best deals of the summer were, what your best deal of deadline day was, and also put the word keyring in the comment section down below if you've watched up to this point as well, to let me know that you got this far. That'd be massively appreciated. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy as well, leave a big thumbs up on the video. Always massively appreciated. I will speak to you all in the next video. Should actually be over the weekend, where I want to talk about the new Road to Glory that's going to be coming out. So keep an eye out for that. I will speak to you all there, lads. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Nidge out.